This is my building lobby.
Really terrifying. My building, my condo association in Miami is trying to confiscate people's units by not allowing them to sell and then at escrow pay their assessment through a secure escrow. They are making you do it before, which would mean if you did not have the amount of money before, which a lot of people don't, the condo association will seize your property, take the amount that was owed, and then profit on the sale of your unit. This is unheard of. When a condo owner gets into a situation, or whatever the issue is in life happens, and you decide to sell in order to get out of the situation, you could then at closing with the title company pay off what you owe. So for example, if you had a mortgage, you could pay off the mortgage obviously at closing. You wouldn't obviously be responsible to pay off your mortgage before your property sells. So at closing, the amount that you owe would go into a secure escrow by the title company, and the title company is responsible for that. So it's safe and secure, and that amount would get paid. For example, if it was a mortgage, I'll give you another example. You would never assume that if you hired a realtor, that your realtor would require a commission before the unit sells. You understand what I'm saying? Things happen at closing. That is normal for things to go into escrow, and that's how you sell. Our building is now doing an extremely sketchy thing. It is very, very frightening. What they are saying is that with all these assessments, not that you're behind, not that you're in the negative. What this building is saying, we're not talking you're delinquent and you haven't been paying your maintenance or your assessments. What this building is saying is that you have assessments that you have to pay as owners, and that if you can't pay your assessment, you cannot sell your unit and then have at closing that the assessment is then distributed through escrow back to the building, which is totally normal. Like I gave you the point of with commission of a realtor or a mortgage, which is a very common thing. Obviously, you don't have to pay off your mortgage before you sell. It's done at closing at escrow through the title company. That would be unheard of. That would be like saying you have to pay off your mortgage before selling your unit. So what this building is saying is that we as owners have to pay off all assessments before we have the ability to sell our unit. So if you get into trouble financially and you say, you've hit me with all these assessments, I can't pay this, I need to sell the property so that way I can give you your share in assessments at escrow, and then I take my share of the unit and I go on my way, the building is saying no. The building is saying if there are the following assessments, you have to pay all of those monies ahead of time before closing. Otherwise, we can confiscate your unit and then take the profit for ourselves. That is what they're saying, which is blatantly illegal. So what they are saying is, for example, let's say you owed $10,000 in assessment towards your unit, and you could not pay the assessment, and your unit is worth $250,000. They will not allow for you to sell the unit, give them the $10,000 at closing, and you go on your way. What they are saying is that if you can't pay the $10,000, we will confiscate your unit, we will not allow you to sell, and that we will then take the remaining amount for profit. So what they're saying is that all assessments have to be paid before closing, which is unheard of. You should be able to pay this at escrow, because the common question will be like, well, what if you don't have the amount? Well, we were in a Zoom session and one of the board members in a chuckle goes, well, we'll foreclose on your unit. Guess what? The board member who said that is also selling his units. What you're talking about potentially happening is that the building appears to be trying to gain control of people's units and all of their money. So in the event, you can hear how worked up I'm getting. In the event of a situation now and you couldn't pay the assessment, what would happen is if you didn't have the assessment, they won't let you close, and they will sabotage you. They will not let you close, and they will say, tough luck, we're going to take your unit. That doesn't sound very legal, and it may involve trying to get real estate attorneys involved and stuff like that, but it could be a long process and you could be in trouble in the meantime. And we don't even know in some warped way if somehow they're able to do this, and we're very worried. They wrote on this notice that I'm showing you guys that in the July meeting, which was like a week or so ago, it was a Zoom session, we voted on this. There was no vote. Not only was there no vote, but during the Zoom session, the owners became very irate and they blatantly accused the association of doing sketchy things, in which case the association became very agitated and they shut down the Zoom session and they closed it and they signed us all out. So there was no vote. And then in a theoretical, even if they say, oh, we voted on it, the ones voting on it, this board, are actually selling their units. So there is no logical reason for why they would be not allowing people to give the amount that they owe at escrow, which is totally secure, and everyone could go on their way. They are actually trying to attain people's units, which is absolutely terrifying. My building, my condo association in Miami is trying to confiscate people's units by not allowing them to sell and then at escrow pay their assessment through a secure escrow. They are making you do it before, which would mean if you did not have the amount of money before, which a lot of people don't, the condo association will seize your property, take the amount that was owed, and then profit on the sale of your unit. This is unheard of. We are terrified, and we most likely need to attempt to get out of this situation as quickly as possible by selling as quickly as possible, which means that we're gonna have to sell cheap, because the alternative could be, number one, you're selling cheap, you're leaving your home, you're leaving what you know, going to an unknown place, which I have started the research of up in northern Florida. And you're saying the alternative is that if I fall behind on my assessments and my payments, the building won't let me sell, and then they will take my unit. I've depleted my savings because I've been trying to keep up with it. Then I have no money left, and they will take every last dime from you, and you will not be able to get any money out of your property. This is absolutely terrifying. Most likely going to have to sell, and going to have to sell fast. I've heard other people mention rumblings like maybe they could try to get the buyer to front them the money at a huge hit of the cost. In other words, in the event the buyer agreed to do that, it's going to come at a huge financial cost, because they're going to know that you are in deep trouble. And we want to avoid that. We have to sell, unfortunately. We have no choice. A lot of you would be, I know you have suggested in the comments, we'll get a real estate attorney. Yes, that is an option. But the better option is probably to get out of this situation as quickly as possible. Watch out behind you, there's a car. The better option would be to get out of this situation as quickly as possible. And we're kind of in shock. You can see my dad in the back. We are in shock because this is our home. Yes, I grew up here, and we've had this property for a very long time before I was born, right? Before I was born, or in the early 90s, something like that. And it's all I know. In a sense, I did live for a few years in Colorado, so I had the experience of living other places. But I have lived here for over 10 years. This is my home. We had the beach life. We had, yes, our condo was, in quote, poor, but we were across the street, literally from the Ritz-Carlton life. Isn't that the Ritz-Carlton? From the Ritz-Carlton life. That's the Ritz-Carlton building. And it's a big shock. And that's if everything works out, that all I'm dealing with is a shock. I do work a part-time job. I've mentioned it a few times. It depends how much of my videos you've watched to know that. So I work a part-time job. The part-time job is not enough to pay this. I would end up having to, my dad would have to end up going back to work, and we would all have to pool our money together and see if we could somehow get by. So I'm kind of like playing devil's advocate in my brain to be like, oh, well, you're moving to a new place. Maybe you got a property cheaper, some savings, but you don't have a job. Well, it's like my job wasn't worth anything. My job is the equivalent of a retail job, part-time. So it's going dark. I just need to finish it. Let's
go over there to the shade.
We have to sell. So this is my building where I live at, and I just left the lobby. where I'm showing you guys what's going on with this notice that they just put up. So I live at this building called Coastal Towers here in sunny Isles Beach, Florida. This is in Miami, Florida. So as I've told you guys, we have a situation where our expenses have soared and we're getting hit with one assessment after another. So just as a recap, we have a situation where the base maintenance each month is about $600, and we were hit with an assessment of either $875 for 6 months or $650 or so, something like that, over 8 months. And that is because we were short on the insurance by a good 2.5 million, something roughly like that. When you calculate it out, in other words, the current maintenance times 12 and then that maintenance times 6, that's how you get the total maintenance divided by 12. So it comes out to our total maintenance for the year should have been each month around $1,035, and because we weren't quoted correctly, we got hit with that assessment. And so, as many of you know, insurance with buildings is rising, and insurance is every year. So it's not a situation where you're like, oh, just get through this and then you don't have to worry about it again. Insurance is every year. Yes, the insurance is going up everywhere, but one of the reasons that the insurance went up so high with this building is due to neglect. The building is in deplorable shape. The management hasn't run this building correctly. It used to be run correctly many years ago, but when this recent management office came in, they destroyed the building. So for example, you'll ask, like, how did they destroy the building? For example, the building needs repairs and it's up for what's called a 50-year recertification. The building is about 4 or 5 years behind on its 50-year recertification, meaning that over the years, in other words, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the building would start to notice that we need a repair here, we need a repair there, we need to fix this, we need to fix that. And instead of leisurely over time involving the owners and saying, hey, we need to tweak this, we need to have a meeting and discuss how much this is going to cost, and over time doing this in a productive way, they neglected everything, didn't take care of anything, and basically let it all go to hell at once. And that's why all of the repairs now are due at once for their 50-year recertification. Our repairs are part of the 50-year recertification. We have to comply with those, and we are behind. So we had a contractor who was working on the building. That's the work that you're seeing being done. You'll see like some of the balconies they started to go into, and it was marked. Had a contractor. There was some sort of tiff, an issue with the contractor before. Don't know the real truth of what happened. I know that the building is involved in litigation, and quite frankly, if the building ends up losing and the judge eventually sides with the contractor, that will be an additional assessment. An assessment for lost amounts of profit from the contractor, their legal fees, as well as the legal fees that the building is spending on this, probably out of what's left of the reserves. So insurance is every year, meaning that even if we got through this, it's every year, and you could anticipate that the following year the insurance is higher, and not only higher, but then also the maintenance of the building, you know, the employees, the staff that do nothing, we have to pay for that, and everything goes up. And then, yes, insurance has generally gone up, but then what happened was the insurance company saw that the building is in neglect. They saw that they saw the situation. They saw that we have no contractor. They saw we're behind on schedule, way 4 or 5 years behind with the contracting work. And they saw the situation, they saw the neglect of the building, and they took advantage, and that's another reason why the insurance is up. And we've never been told why we have to work with this one particular insurance company. We keep asking that in Zoom sessions. Why do we have to work with this one company, this one insurer? And the answers are anything from, it's the only ones that'll work with us. I don't know. It all seems very sketchy. And so you have that issue. And again, the maintenance insurance is every single year. So as a base, that could be $1,200 or so next year. And then for 3 months into the new year, you're gonna, because the assessment for the shortfall in the insurance is going to have a rollover. So what's going to happen is you're going to have your new set of maintenance and insurance, and then you're going to have January, February, March with a rollover of a $650 or so a month to cover the end of that assessment for 3 months. Then we are still paying off a $161 a month for like it's going to go on for like 3 years or something like that, for the contracting work, because the contracting work was assessed at something like $4 million for the building. Again, because we don't have our contractor anymore, and we have a new contractor that was in the lobby with all of their goons, it is natural to have fears that the new contractor is going to charge more that exceeds what we were quoted on. And then obviously the question would be, how much of our money that we paid towards the repairs went towards repairs? How much did the old contractor keep and not give back? How much is left in the bank of the building? How much do you still have? Every month we've been paying it, even since we lost the contractor. How much is left? All of these questions. And so we're very fearful that there could be a new amount. When we got the 161 we were able to get on a line of credit, like on a loan for the building. So that's why it wasn't due all up at once or over a 12-month period. The building tried to get a loan for the shortfall in the insurance, and because of the deplorable state of the building, could not do so. So there's a legitimate fear, hey, if you couldn't get a loan last time, why would you be able to now? So in the event that there's an increase in the insurance, we're very afraid that there could be an increase in, all at once or over 12 months because they can't get a loan. The next element is the reserves. Ever since the Surfside incident happened, which is right over there, a few blocks, not that building obviously, but down that way a little bit, because of the DeSantis law, he really hurt us with that. And we now have to have total reserves for the building in the event of an emergency. And we think that's around $3.5 million for the building, which would come out to around $8,700 or something like that for our unit, which is insane. And again, because no loan, we're most likely thinking that's going to be an assessment that starts next year, over a 12-month period, which would be a tremendous amount of money on top of the current situation. The point of this video is that I feel that option one would be to stay on a month-to-month basis here and try to see if we can get through it. But if we fail, if somehow the money is just not enough, or there's another assessment that comes out of nowhere, because this building, well, you would say like, oh, you need to have a nice conversation with they're sketchy. They won't tell you anything. They won't answer emails. I've sent them certified mail. They have 30 days legally to comply, or you could technically sue them. But again, that's a legal process. And they won't answer anything. I asked them how much money is left. Is there going to be a new assessment? All this stuff. They won't answer anything. And so the best option would be to try to get out of this situation, and say to yourself, I wasn't making that much with my part-time job anyhow. It's better to have a roof over your head in a new place that's cheaper, and say to yourself, your living expenses are very low, and yes, you may be in debt in other ways, but you'll figure it out and you'll get some sort of part-time job. That would be easier to in my mind, and I think that's the route we're going. But I'm pretty scared. I'm not able to sleep at night. I'm pretty worried, and that we need to sell. I don't see a way out. I welcome you guys to give advice in the video of suggestions that you may have, but many of you have said very clearly you just need to get out. You need to get out. I just don't know if I see a way out. Right now what's happening is there's two things happening. One, it's like shock. That you could, most likely I will be, losing my home location, I refer to it as, to go to a new place. And the biggest fear if you ask me what is the biggest fear that's keeping you up at night, my biggest fear is that the building will somehow, regarding the assessments, which I don't feel is legal, that they will not, that I'll fall behind, or they'll assess another one. I won't be able to pay it. I won't be able to sell, and they will take my unit, and I won't have a dime left. And I'm scared. I'm scared. Careful with the car behind you.
Trying to take people's units.
It would seem that way. Why else would they do this? Why else would they do this when they know that it is extremely common to sell at escrow. It's so common. Think about how many mortgages get figured out at escrow, how many this, that, the fees of the realtor. This is so common. Again, that would be like paying off your mortgage before selling your unit. All of this is extremely common practices.
Title companies that distribute everything at closing, they're bonded.
They're bonded, everything's secure, the building's never liable. And the only reason they would do something like this is if they're trying to take people's unit for profit, and those same people that have voted on it, they're selling their units. They're selling their units. And this is very scary. So I wanted to explain to you guys what was happening. I know I posted a video on this not that long ago, but I wanted you guys to know that how the situation has gotten worse, because this is pretty serious. So I know I'm meeting with a realtor this week. We're thinking of listing quite low, and I'm assuming we're hoping that because of the price we're thinking of listing, that we could get out of this situation. And we're hoping to get out of the situation before another assessment comes. And we believe that I'm sure the other people are going to go nuts, the other owners that are trying to sell, because if we list for what we're thinking of listing for, we'll destroy their sale prices. And it may be what we have to do. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. I have YouTube channel memberships on this channel where I have exclusive content, B-roll, and all that. And I also have Patreon, where I post different exclusive B-roll content, exclusive vlogs. So if you're interested in that, please check out YouTube channel memberships and Patreon. And as always, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in my next video. And bye.